We're back. What's up, everyone? We are going to be reacting to some mock drafts today. I just have a bunch of mock drafts pulled up. We'll take a look at all of them, see what people are doing. I only just made sure that I didn't have to pay for them, so I didn't scroll down and really see anything other than like the top couple picks, like Caleb Williams, stuff like that. But yeah, so we'll see what these people have in store. I've seen a lot of mock drafts rolling around. We'll look at some just Dolphins mock drafts too, or maybe like one or two of those. Or if anyone has any mock drafts they want me to watch, I'll take a peek at them. But yeah, taking a look at some mock drafts should be fun. Let people file in here. Talk about some other stuff we can talk about, like Tyler Guyton, because Dolphins brought him on a visit. Potentially, the extension, like because Devontae Smith got extended today, what that means for Jalen Waddle, other Dolphins, things like that. First day of the voluntary training camp, people coming in. I mean, not too much to talk about there, but it's always nice to, see the people back in the building, see those videos. It's an exciting time of the year. And there's also like some draft pick lines. I don't know if you guys have seen these, but the draft pick lines have dropped, like where people are going to be drafted. There's some interesting ones here I just think to talk about of where, like Vegas thinks people are going to go. And usually, they're fairly accurate. So it should be pretty interesting. See if, people end up getting in here. Let me just make sure. Pull up YouTube real quick. Make sure I'm actually live. What is my channel? Okay, cool. I am there. And then probably later in the week, I'll probably, get back to the other videos, maybe make my own mock draft. Also do, I think edges next. I've been taking a lot of notes on the edge group. I'd keep going down the line, DBs, talk about as many as groups possible before the draft, and we'll get to the actual draft. That'd be super, super exciting. And then, but I do want to talk about Tyler Guyton first, because Tyler Guyton, they're bringing him on a visit. They brought in Jackson Powers-Johnson as well. Two guys that I don't necessarily love at 21. I wouldn't mind either of them maybe in a trade back scenario, but they wouldn't be my top guys at 21. Even though I do think usually when I feel like teams, when they bring players in on 30 visits, a lot of the times they don't end up being like their first round targets. It usually ends up being like later round guys that you really end up taking in those 30 visits because, a lot of times they use that to try to, disguise what they're actually doing, trick other teams at the same time. Because Guyton does have his issues. I do think, he's my only problem is I think he's not going to be a first year contributor. I think he's a tackle only prospect just due to like his size, build, athleticism. I don't think you're going to see him play inside at guard. And he's just raw over it all to the position. His hand placement and timing is definitely inconsistent. Same thing with his footwork, his leverage in the running game. But like he has all the physical tools you could want with the size and the athleticism. But he would be like the type of pick you take if you took him at 21, where you're sitting him for a year until Armstead retires, and then you hope that he can develop. And usually for me, I don't like to take those guys in the first round. It's just a little bit of a risk. So he would be like not one of my top options to pick at 21. My frames look pretty good. That's good. But yeah, they brought a guy and they brought in Jackson Powers-Johnson, which I know Powers-Johnson's pretty big within the fan base. People really like him. I like Jackson Powers-Johnson too. I don't know if I'm take him at 21. His line really stayed. His line was like 30.5 or something like that. So they think he's going to go around that area. I don't think the Dolphins will take him at 21 if I had to guess. Maybe in a trade back scenario, but I think, injuries are a big question mark for him. Another player is like that was interesting to me, Amarius Mims is right here, 24.5. So they think, he's going to go around that 24 area range, which is surprising me because I was hearing that he was going to go higher than that earlier on. So I could see, there's a chance that he ends up being there for the Dolphins, and I feel like he's a better option, a better version of what they would get in Tyler Guyton. And if they went in that direction, I wouldn't be as mad. Graham Barnes also in that range, 23.5, another player that's potentially in play at 21 on the offensive line. Hopefully, I can't see shit. Yeah, I mean, any people are in here, they can start chatting, asking questions or whatever they want. And then Devontae Smith, he got extended today, which kind of sets the what you're like the line for what Waddle's gonna get. And Waddle for me, out of that like 3 in his draft class was Javon Holland and Jalen Phillips. Waddle is the priority, and then Vidal is definitely kind of in that Maurice Jones-Drew type of build. Not the tallest prospects, but pretty well built. I could definitely see that comparison. I think Maurice Jones-Drew was even shorter though, and probably even a little thicker. But yeah, they have some similarities. I like Vidal as like a early day 3 back, and I think he's better than some of these people in this class. But yeah, I do like him a lot. And then so hopefully they extend Waddle. And then for me, after Waddle, if you're looking at Phillips or Holland, if Phillips like medicals are good, just match. Yeah, I imagine they're probably going to try to match it. And then Waddle's, I think numbers have been a little bit better than Smith's, and I think he's just a little bit better player, so I wouldn't be surprised. Plus, if you wait long enough, he's probably going to get more and more just because the cap rises, year after year. So extend him as early as possible. What's your thought on current CB depth, and do we need to address it in the draft? I think the corner depth is actually pretty fine on the roster. Like, you obviously have Ramsey, and you have Ramsey, you have Fuller. You drafted Cam Smith, and you're expecting him to contribute. You brought back Needham to be like a slot depth. You have Kohu, who had a down second year, but looked better in a different scheme. Maybe he can bounce back, and he's still solid depth to have, especially on the inside as a nickel player. So I think the corner depth is fine. I think they need more at safety, so more DBs. Maybe I wouldn't mind to see them add a DB that could potentially be like a versatility guy that can play some safety and potentially nickel at the same time. Yeah, we can. People are in here. We can start taking a look at some of these mocks. Let's go here. Full screen it. Boom. Let me pull up my phone real quick. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, we're gonna start going down. Hopefully it doesn't block the picks, but I don't know how many rounds all of these are. Obviously, at the top, hoping as many QBs. That's what we want. We want as many QBs as possible before 21. I'm expecting 3 to go very early, and potentially the 4th is also going to go. In this mock, they have 4 going right away. This is CBS mock draft by Jared Dubin, and yeah, we do need safeties. Ryder, can you do a film breakdown on a sleeper cornerback for later rounds? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. I think I have a sleeper corner that I'm planning to do. I'm looking through clips right now. We'll take a CB slot due to special teams. I wouldn't mind if they went like in the Max Melton direction. But yeah, I do think we do need safeties. I think safety is a chance play at 55. I don't think it's a. I guess they could go to Zine at 21, but other than that, I don't think they go safety. But I do think some of these players are potentially in play, like a Cole Bishop. I'm going to make a video on Cole Bishop, Dadrian Taylor Demerson. Those guys are both safeties that I think can play nickel and be like a big third safety in the Dolphins system year 1. So I think it's definitely a position that is it's like the sleeper position in play, I think, right now. Out of the top 4, which is like O-line, D-line, edge, and receiver. I feel like what most fans are talking about. But yeah, receivers, they have Caleb Williams. I'm hearing more Jaden Daniels at 2, but they have May here, Jaden Daniels for the Patriots. I wonder if the Patriots are going to end up with that quarterback. It'll be interesting to see if they trade back or just stick here, take one of the quarterbacks, or potentially even go Marvin Harrison Jr., which I wouldn't be that surprised. They have Neighbors at 6. Oh, yeah. Okay, so they went top 4 QBs. Vikings traded up. So they traded up with Arizona, and then Arizona traded back up to where the Chargers were. Oh, they're going crazy in this mock draft. Marvin Harrison at 5, Neighbors, Joe Waltz. Yes, all these guys are going to go. We're just trying to get to the Dolphins pick. I expect all these guys to be gone. Dallas Turner, Dunze. I expect the 3 receivers to go around that top 10, 4 quarterbacks. This makes sense to me. Fuaga at 10, which is interesting. This is why you think, some of these players are going to fall because they have all these good players. Yeah, Fuaga is going to go in this range. Same with Fashanu and Latham. 3 linemen back to back to back. Terrian Arnold, Mitchell, DeJean, they have 3 corners back to back to back. I think the Dolphins want as many of these corners to go at 21 before 21. And these are, I think, yeah, they traded Jared Verse at 16. I think he's a guy that's in play for Miami at 21. He goes at 16. Nate Wiggins at 17 is a good thing for the Dolphins. Byron Murphy goes at 18. Ooh, Brock Bowers at 19. That's pretty late. I don't think he's going to go that late. And then, yeah, Amarius Mims at 20. I think he's a potential play. And then they have the Dolphins going Johnny Newton. I feel like a lot of these mocks are going to have Johnny Newton. Wow, this mock is insane. Like, look who's available after that. They have Latu at 22. Brian Thomas Jr. at 23. I think all of these guys. And then they have Jackson Myers-Johnson at 24. But Tanu was still available? Bro, this would be the dream scenario for Miami. You know what it is? If these guys are all on the board, like these 3, plus Fatanu and Graham Barton, I wouldn't even mind the Dolphins trading back just like 2 spots or something. Trade back 2 or 3 spots. And then some of these guys would still be on the board. Or I would have ran to the podium with Fatanu. That's just me, though. Fatanu. They have Tyler Guyan at 30. Wow, this draft is so stacked. Like, there's going to be people on the board that are absolute studs at 21. But yeah, I don't mind the Johnny Newton pick. I think people think D-line is potentially more of a need than it actually is. But, and I'm not saying it is a big need. Like, that starting spot is a need. But I do think with how many bodies the Dolphins added, I feel like they're setting themselves up where they don't have to take a D tackle. If one falls to them, sure. If Newton ends up being the best player available on the board, then take him. I just don't think in this scenario with Latu, Brian Thomas Jr., Fatanu, I don't think he's the best player available at this time. But I wouldn't be mad with this pick at all. He's an absolute stud. Big fan of him overall as a player. But yeah, really violent pass rusher. Had some injuries this past season, but he would add a lot. Pretty undersized, but could play 3 tech, even play some big edge on the outside at times. Wouldn't be definitely a pick I would be happy with overall, but at this spot, there's so many good players. It's actually insane. Go back to here. I can exit this. Boom. Okay. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying. Okay, Dwayne Carter looked impressive in your breakdown. I'm much higher on him now than I was before. Yeah, I like Carter as a D tackle option. If you end up with like if the Dolphins end up trading back and getting picks in like that 3rd, 4th area, he would be solid. Bullard in the second in the second possible. Yeah, I think he's another safety that would be interesting because he also has nickel versatility. He's another interesting one for sure. Max Mellon's a decent sleeper. Yeah, I don't know if he's like I don't know if I would consider Mellon a sleeper because I do think Mellon is probably going to go in like the 2nd round range. I'll try to find some deeper sleepers. There's a Daquan Hardy from Penn State who I've watched. He's another guy that's a sleeper, and I think he's more of a nickel as well, and he's probably a day 3 guy. That's a guy I haven't heard a ton about. I would love a trade down with that Bard. Yeah, for me, the trade downs are like this. If all your favorite guys are gone, you trade down, and then, you get better value on your pick. Or if all your favorites are there, then you can trade back just a few spots, still pick up the guys, still at least pick up one of the guys you really like. But yeah. I'm getting a warning. Let me see what YouTube Studio is saying. It's lower than the recommended bitrate. I mean, nothing I can do with that. Yeah. These mocks are always super interesting. Like, yeah, we scrolled down. Yeah, it was just a 1-round mock. They had Ladd McConkey going at 32, which is interesting. This board's really interesting. Or like they Leggett is at over under 44.5. So that kind of puts him out of the range of their pick 55, but that's close enough where the Dolphins are kind of in play. We need more picks, definitely. Yeah, I hope so, man. That'd be absolutely amazing. Oh, here's an interesting thing about the Vegas lines that came out. They have Brian Thomas Jr. at 17.5 and Adonai Mitchell at 17.5. So they're expecting Mitchell to go even before the Dolphins pick, which I would love because I don't think Mitchell is the best fit for the Dolphins offense. I feel like it's a guy, he doesn't really get much yak, and I don't love his effort out there as a blocker, and I feel like those are things the Dolphins very much value, and I don't think Mitchell is in that range. So, I mean, I'm hoping he goes before 21 too. Just add more bodies. If Mitchell goes as the 4th receiver, that'd be amazing. There's a lot of interesting lines, but let's see what else. This is a 2-round mock draft, it looks like, from PFF. I don't know when they released this. This was released today. Oh, nice. By Sam. PFF Sam. F11, boom. Hopefully that we are good. We have 8 picks next year plus 3 comps with 11 picks expected to use one to make a move in this draft. I could see him doing that potentially, maybe even in the second, but I hope they move back in this draft to pick up picks this year. Or even if you're just saying like use one of the thirds next year to get a third this year or something like that, that would be an interesting play. I could see that happening. They've done it before. Yeah, PFF. Wait, hopefully I don't have to pay for this because PFF makes you pay for stuff sometimes. But Caleb Williams, they have McCarthy going second. Very interesting. I haven't studied a ton of the QBs because I feel like, at the top, because I feel like sometimes it's just, I'll do it right before the draft, but I don't love this QB class from what I've seen. Caleb's definitely the one I would take the chance on. That's why he's going first overall. The rest of them, a bit of a projection. They need to end up in a perfect scenario to be successful. So this mock has top 3 QBs, not May, interesting, which I do think people have been less interested in May, which is weird. Well, not weird, but it is always fun to see how much changes before. Harrison Jr. at 4, I expect him to go here to the Cardinals. The only way he doesn't is if they trade. Joe Alt to the Chargers. It would be hilarious and very Harbaugh-like to go O-line when you look at the receiver room, and then the Giants get Neighbors. Fuaga now goes at 7 instead of Alt going in this area last time. They have Verse going pick 8. Damn. These mocks love Jared Verse. I like Jared Verse a lot, but this is a little high, in my opinion. They get the Vikings in their QB without even trading up. Brock Bowers to the Jets. I've seen this as like a huge, huge pick. Like they really like Bowers apparently, and maybe not the best value pick, but I would not want to see Bowers in the division, to be honest, because I think he's a really good player in this class. Wow, the Bears traded back and still got a Dunze while also getting Caleb Williams. That's a dream draft for them. Fashanu, Arnold, Fatanu goes earlier this time. Dejean at 15. They have Jackson Powers Johnson going at 16. That's early. I don't think that's going to happen. So, maybe one of these guys gets bumped up. Newton, Murphy, I could see them going in this range. I think that's around where they go. Latu, I think he visited with the Rams, and I've seen Rams fans are very interested in him, so that's another one. He could go there. Mims goes right before the Dolphins again at pick 20. I think they took the Georgia offensive lineman last year. Maybe they do it again. Now the Dolphins take Graham Barton. Barton is one of those picks I feel like is the safest for the Dolphins. He's just an immediate starter for them on the offensive line. He plays either guard spot, whatever you want. I don't think he's the type of guy that bounces out to tackle. Now this is do you think Greer is going to take a guard, an interior O-line prospect only at 21? People have their doubts. He hasn't done it before. But, when you think about it, it's not that big of a sample size. They haven't had a first-round pick in 2 years. But yeah. It will be interesting to see how it goes. It has been a while. Wow. I think Dallas Turner at 23, he's going to go higher than the Dolphins, so imagine someone else is going to get bumped down. Wiggins will probably go higher. Ooh, they didn't take Latham until 26. I think the Dolphins would take Latham if he was there because he could play guard and tackle. Interesting draft. Guyton goes to pick 32. McConkey at 33. Let's just go down the Dolphins pick. Take a look at this. Leggett at 39. Christian Haynes, a guy I like, goes at 40. Darius Robinson. I think Robinson, he's going to the draft. I think Darius Robinson is going to be a first-round pick. They didn't have Brian Thomas Jr. going until 46. Well, Brian Thomas Jr. is in the play at 21. I think he's one of the only receivers in play for the Dolphins at 21, and he's definitely a guy that I think they'll be thinking about. Morgan at 47. I would trade up for Jordan Morgan right here for 55 if he fell this far. He wouldn't have to give up too much to go up to 47, but he's a really good player. If they didn't take O-line in the first, obviously. Who is it going to be? Wow, they had Jaden Hicks go at 53. Versal goes. Wow, Xavier Worthy at 55. That's absolutely crazy. I mean, I know people are mixed about where they go into the Dolphins, but if he's there at 55, I'm not mad about it. I don't want him at 21. I wouldn't be like, he's not. And I kind of looking more for a receiver complement, and he's, in that same vein as a Tyreek and Waddle type of player. But wow, I mean, if they got Worthy at 55 and Barton at 21. I'm not mad about it. You get 2 good players, but that's crazy. BB still on the board. Dorless, Mahogany, but they took O-line in the first round. Interesting. Wow. Let me get out of here. Hicks lays the boom. Yeah, I do like Hicks. I just thought of the safety class. I have a few guys rated higher than him. I didn't think he was like a second round guy. I thought he was more of like a third or fourth round guy. Barton is going to be overdrafted the versatility label. I think Graham Barton's really good and he should be drafted in the first round. But yeah, he's not a tackle. He is very I think he could play tackle in a pinch, like a game for you, that type of player. But yeah, he's a versatility in the interior where he can play both guard spots in the center. He has actually some really good center tape from years ago. But yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't take Thomas or Leggett. I can't believe they had Thomas falling to 46. Barton would be okay, but I hope we can do better. Yeah, I actually do think, from what I've seen, Barton might not even make it to 21, just from the things I've been reading, which is interesting. EFF has Barton to Miami in every single mock. Yeah, that seems like the safe pick. I feel like Barton is like, if you want to make a safe bet for Miami to pick, it feels like that's what they do with Graham Barton, which I'm not mad about it. There's way worse picks to have, but I do agree it's probably not the ideal one to make. I feel like there's more impactful players, but it is one where like I do think you're just going to get a solid starting guard for a while. I take Latham over Barton without hesitation. Yeah, I'm surprised about that. And the lines came out for Latham today. Latham was where was? Let me see his name. He was like 14.5 or something. They had him. Yeah, 14.5 is his line. So Vegas is thinking he goes around that 14, 15 range, which I agree. I think he's that type of player. They have Barton 23.5. But yeah, I would take Latham because even though I do think Latham might be a better guard at the next level, he's the type of player that could also play tackle for you in the future, and he just has more upside to his game. B- score in Barton. I can agree with that. I feel like, yeah, he's like a solid B- type of pick. Latham B+. Not too bad, JC. I'm kind of agreeing with you here because they wouldn't be like my home run picks, like A style picks, like A+ for me would be Fatanu. That's at least semi-realistic, but I don't know how realistic it is anymore. They have Fatanu at 16.5, so 16.5, that's only a few ones off. Let me see if anyone else said anything. Jets fans want Bowers bad. Dude, they haven't seen that. Mason McCormick has the nasty streak you love to see, but I question his mobility. He actually tested really well. My only problem is I think he moves well when he can go forward, but he looks kind of uncomfortable when he's in pass protection with his movement skills. I don't know if it's just like the way they're coached over there, but I do have questions with McCormick in pass protection. Anything else? What do you think of Tua's new throwing motion or cutting weight to be more mobile? Yeah, I'm waiting to see. I'm trying to wait for the throwing motion thing until I see him in game, but from what I've seen, it does look more efficient. And like the way I think he get more power from his hips now, which is definitely important. But yeah, I would like to, and I don't mind him cutting a little bit of weight to be more mobile. I think there's a nice, they added a lot of weight so he can stay healthy, but I do think there's a nice middle ground they could reach to, still so he can take some hits, but also. Okay, let's see. What's up, Cliff? Okay, I'm gonna open up another mock draft. I can't F11, okay. No? Okay, whatever, okay. We're just gonna see it this time. I have some, okay, so they have, this is by Ryan Fowler. He posted it today as well. Okay, so I haven't seen this at all. Same thing, Caleb, this time he has Drake at 2. I know a lot of people like Drake May. The quarterbacks, top 3. I feel like top 3 is gonna be quarterback, whether there's trades, not trades. We'll see how that ends up playing out. Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4th. They took Neighbors at 5 this time. Joel keeps going to Tennessee. Latu at 8 this time. So Latu kind of replaces Verse in this mock draft, which I agree with if his medicals check out. I have Latu a little bit higher than Verse, but I do think Verse is a top like 15 type player as well. Bowers. Ooh, Penix is in the top 11. Oh, Nick's at 12. Okay, this is getting unrealistic. These guys are not going here, but I would love if that happened. They shouldn't go there at least. Then the O-line run happens with Fuaga, Fashanu. Guys that wouldn't be mad if they fell to 21. Fatanu, my dream pick. Why do you have to do this to me and leave? Latham, Johnny Noon. Let's see. Okay, so they have Byron Murphy. I feel like all these mocks are going to have the Dolphins taking some kind of trench player. Just feels like, which I think is probably the most likely thing to happen in the draft, but you never know. I do think there's some potential guys that could go there at wide receiver, maybe even also Cooper DeJean at DB. I think those could happen, but still on the lower side of likeliness. But yeah, I wouldn't mind Murphy either. I do think I'm a little higher on Noon, but I do think they're both very, very good players, and I would be happy with either. They're both. Murphy's also a little undersized, but super explosive, really good first step, 3-tech interior type that I think could replace Christian Wilkins and potentially even be more of a pressure player. He's also, I'll give him this, Murphy's also a better run defender. He takes on double teams better overall than Noon does. I think that's where he would have the advantage. See, but they have Dallas Turner going at 26. This happens because they keep having QBs go super high. That's unlikely. They have Brian Thomas Jr. at 28. DeJean at 31. Leggett at 32 is pretty. I think it happened. Like they have Nate Wiggins going in the second round. They have Jared Verse at 35. Like this is what happens when you start throwing in random QBs into the top 15 picks that are in these mock drafts. Just super unlikely. McConkey at 43. Another player I really like. Who do they have at 55? Okay, so they had it Worthy fall to 53, almost to the Dolphins again. Okay, so they had Sinnott go to 55. Now, I don't think the Dolphins make this pick. I actually really like Ben Sinnott. He's my second tight end. So I don't think this is bad value or anything, but I don't think this is the pick they should make. I wouldn't be that mad because Ben Sinnott's like one of my guys, one of my draft crushes. But I just feel like, I'd rather take Christian Haynes, who the Dallas Cowboys took at 56. I feel like, he starts right away, makes a huge impact year one. They had Carter go at 58 too. But, yeah, it's not a horrible pick just because I think Sinnott's a really good player and a really well-rounded tight end. One of the most, I think after Bowers, he's the most well-rounded guy with like blocking and all those things. But definitely, I think people think the Dolphins are going to take more tight ends than they actually would. What's Murphy's size? Don't have it off the top of my head. I can look it up. They don't list it here. Let's go to Google. Byron Murphy size. Fuck. It's showing me. He's about 6'1", about 300 pounds. So it's a little undersized for a D tackle, but you see that he makes up for it with he plays with pretty good play strength. I think he's like a little. I don't know what Wilkins is anymore. It's been a while. What round would you feel comfortable grabbing Sweat now? I think Sweat for me, I wouldn't touch till the 5th. I mean, the Dolphins, I wouldn't take him 1 or 2. And if the Dolphins get a 3rd or a 5th, I'm still probably not taking Devondre Sweat. But I would consider it in like the 5th or later. It depends who's there, though. It's going pretty good today. What's up, man? JPJ, perhaps? For me, not at 21, but I wouldn't mind that in like a trade back. Just depends. Plus, there's like just the medical things. It's always tough with those types of players. You just don't know what the medical is, what they're seeing behind the scenes. I was liking Christian Boyd as a late round pick until I saw McCormick destroy him. I actually am making a Christian Boyd video. And to be fair, even though McCormick got the better one on a few snaps, Boyd beat him a few times as well in the film that I watched. I have a few clips from Boyd beating McCormick, but also McCormick beat up on him in a few plays. But I don't mind Boyd as another like day 3 guy. Yeah, if the Dolphins take JBJ, I don't think he plays center for the Dolphins. I think he plays guard, at least early on. Okay, cool. What I don't I like Sweat as a player. I don't know if you've heard he had the DWI, or he's also had there's like the issue he came in overweight. So yeah, he has like the off field stuff that is like the problem with Sweat. That's kind of why he's gonna fall in the draft. I don't know if you've heard that stuff. I actually do think JPJ would probably start at guard if the Dolphins took him, especially if they took him in the first round. But I don't think they will. I really don't. I feel like the people that are bringing in for visits that are like first or second round guys, I don't think the Dolphins are going to end up taking them. I think they might take some of the guys they brought in, like the Christian Boyds or the Eric Alls, if they're there in the fifth or something like that. But I don't think they're going to take those guys in the first. Yeah, I was big on the center group and the Dolphins taking a center before they signed Brewer, but I really don't think they're going to sign Brewer. Or I don't think they're going to draft a center after they sign Brewer. Yeah, he literally got a DWI like 2 weeks before the draft. There's just can't do it. Yeah, I feel like JBJ would be I mean, he's better guard than what the Dolphins have. It's not like the Dolphins have anything impressive at guard. Dolphins have always been about drafting character guys. Do we start thinking outside the box and just get the best player available regardless of the off-field issues? To me, this draft, there's a lot of players that don't have off-field issues that you can get around those areas. I don't think, to me, you need to take. There's always a risk with taking the off-field issue guys. There's just this draft class is so good. I don't think you need to take that risk unless you want to take them later on. So I don't mind taking them later on, for sure. But in the first 2 rounds, I wouldn't risk it because you can get so many good people. Yeah, Sweat in Miami. I definitely have my concerns with Sweat. It just depends on what the off-field issue is. Okay, let's see. Now we're here. By Adam Rank about a week ago. 2024 NFL mock draft with a twist. What every team should do in round 1, what they should do. I know. This isn't a predictive mock. So he's thinking, this is not what he's predicting to happen. This is what he thinks should happen. Okay, cool. Caleb at 1. Jaden Daniels at 2. Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3. Oh, he's bigger on Fuaga than all. I don't mind that, dude. Fuaga's an absolute dog. That guy is good as hell. Dallas Turner. Wow, they actually have Dallas Turner going high. That's good. Oh, they have Brian Thomas Jr. at 10 to the Jets. Okay. He is a fan of Brian Thomas Jr. McCarthy at 11. Drake May at 12. Bowers at 13. Okay, so at least all these guys so far will probably go top, before the Dolphins pick. So at least, guys on the board will make sense. Patanu. Mitchell maybe goes before the Dolphins pick. I hope he does, but taking him at 15 is risky. To me, he's one of the more boomer bust receivers in this draft class. I really like his strengths, like his movement skills, his body control. At his size is super impressive, but I really don't like his weaknesses with the effort problems, and his ability after the catch is pretty non-existent for a guy of his size and athleticism. First Arnold, come on, we're getting there, and Graham Barton. It's always Graham Barton, man. Okay. Which I'm not that mad about. But who's on the board? Latu, you can't take, unless Latu has just the medicals don't check out, which I don't know. I mean, he's been healthy for 2 years now, I'm pretty sure. I would take Latu over Barton. I'd take Latham over Barton, who goes here. I would take Mims over Barton just because super high upside, can play and is your tackle of the future. If they were going to go with just a tackle that plays tackle, it would be Mims for me. But yeah, wow. There's a lot of guys still on the board. Noon. Yeah. Wow. These. Hold on, let me get out of here. If Pats don't go QB at 3, are they really playing? Yeah, I think that this is I I think the Pats are going to go quarterback at 3. I just feels like this is going to be their chance to do it. They should take the risk on one of those guys. I think that mock that this guy was doing, it just said what he thinks they should do, not what he was predicting them to do. So I guess he probably just doesn't think super highly of the QB class, which I don't blame him for. Yeah. And then let's see what other mocks we got. Is this actually here? Okay. I'm pulling up the Ringer mock. There you go, there. Cool. Caleb, is this just a 1-round thing? Yeah, probably. Yep. QBs 3. They have Drake May going to New England. Kind of he's the boomer bust guy, the one that has a lot of the like good prototypical traits with his arm talent, but he's just a backyard football player. That guy will make a bunch of plays off script, but he needs to learn how to play more on script. That's kind of how I feel about him. But yeah, this seems pretty likely. The receivers all going there, or kind of going there. McCarthy, Kenyon Mitchell, Uaga, Bowers, Latham versus Arnold, Mims. Okay, so this mock draft seems like they actually have the names going before 21 that I think will go, which is a good thing. I like to see who's likely to be there, who's not. Latu, Brian Thomas Jr. Now they have Noon. Has every mock been Noon and Barton? Okay, come on, guys. Fatanu is on the board. If Fatanu is on the board, the Dolphins are taking him. They have to. Yeah, I can't guarantee it, but I feel like it's got to be. I would be disappointed. I mean, I like Noon a lot, so I wouldn't be that disappointed. But if Fatanu is there, like, he's your guard, starting left guard day 1, and your future left tackle. Unless he becomes an all-pro left guard, then he's your future left guard, but also becomes your tackle of the future. DeJean at 23, Jackson Powers Johnson going 24. They have Bart at 25. These are guys I would see maybe in a trade back scenario. All these guys right before where the Dolphins are picking in this mock. I like Darius Robinson a lot. I think he's an underrated pick for the Dolphins, especially in a trade back. I think he would be like this. If I had to say like the surprise pick the Dolphins make in the first round, it would be probably Robinson. Because I haven't heard a ton of that. Oh, they have Lassiter going 27. Interesting. Yeah, just another 1-round mock. Hopefully, yeah, you guys saw that. Cool. Noon all day over Murphy. Yeah, I would take Noon over Murphy. It also depends on your scheme. But I think for the Dolphins specifically, I'm going Noon. Are there been mock drafts with us getting safety second pick? Not that I've seen. I mean, I've seen random ones on Twitter from Dolphins fans that have us taking safety. I think for me, I think safety. I think the Dolphins, and I feel like it's Cole Bishop. Just from watching the film, his play style, there's other players out there. I think Cole Bishop would be the safety the Dolphins are interested in. Plus, they brought in Kalen Bullock on the 30 visit, so a player like that. I wouldn't take Kinchins at 55. Personally, I think he's more of a 3rd-round player. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst pick, but I just wouldn't go in that direction. There's some other players I like in the safety position, and I'll definitely go over that more on like the DBs ones. And let's see. Okay. We are back. Any other mocks? Okay, yes. Touchdown Wire USA Today. And then let me hit some buttons here. Boom, boom. Okay. Let's just scroll down to the Dolphins picks. They talked a lot here. Anderson Jr., Neighbors. Yeah. They don't have the Dolphins trading up. Waga, Bowers. This is why I do feel like there's going to be some studs on the board. Like all these mock drafts, like there's some really good players still for the Dolphins available at 21. Some of them both like very like a lot of options. Some of them not many options that like I would take at 21. This is gonna be Graham Barton, isn't it? No, Graham Barton. Okay, so Graham Barton and Newton both gone. So this has to be someone new. Let's see what it is. And it's Brian Thomas Jr. Okay. I feel like people would be mixed about this. I would actually like this pick. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is my personal wide receiver 4. He's probably the only wide receiver outside of the top 3 I would take at 21. Just looking at the rest of the draft, like there's other players I like. Like I like Leggett a lot. I like Lad McConkey's my wide receiver 5. Personally, I would only really target them in a trade back scenario at 20 from 21. Kind of the direction I feel with them overall. And I think Brian Thomas Jr. has a lot of upside. He's one of the best deep receiving threats in this class, and brings some size and play strength, physicality to this team that the Dolphins need. I know it's not the biggest need, but the value here is definitely pretty good. And I'm a best player available guy, so if he is the best player available, I wouldn't mind going that direction. But Latu's still there, and I think Latu I'd probably take over Brian Thomas. Let's see what else. Mitchell, I would take them over all these guys. I would take Brian Thomas over Jackson Powers-Johnson. DeJean, I'm considering if I'm taking a receiver there. Byron Murphy's still on the board, which I still would probably lean Brian Thomas Jr. I feel like I haven't seen Chop's name a lot. I'm not a huge Chop fan. I feel like he's just really raw, but yeah. But talking Brian Thomas Jr., I feel like, people will be mixed. Let me just scroll down real quick. Oh, they have more. Never mind. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I think, for Thomas Jr., McConkey at 38, he can kind of fill in that role because I would say his yak is kind of average for I feel like, his movement skills, like some receivers just have different movement skills with the ball not in their hands and the ball within their hands. I think, when you watch Brian Thomas Jr. move, I actually think he's a little less raw as a route runner than people think, especially on a vertical plane. I think he does a good job setting things up. He just needs to have a little more of a route tree. The guy does know how to score, though, and will stack you like no other. That guy gets on top of you. If you're even with him, he's gone. Absolutely out of there. So I want to see it'll be interesting to see where the Dolphins end up in the second round. That's kind of what happened. That's why I like that this is a 2-round mock. Because for the Dolphins, I think it's very, very important to see who the second round pick ends up being, because you took Brian Thomas Jr. at 55. I think that's kind of where it gets interesting to make up for it. Because then they take Cooper Beebe at 55, which I'm not mad about. He's probably out of the guards. I would say Christian Haynes is my top second round type guard, and then I would say Cooper is right behind him. Very physical, better mover than you would think. I don't know if he's the best scheme fit of the guards in this class, but I do think he could get it done. And you're just getting another starter right away. That guy's just absolutely nasty mauler, has a ton of experience. You're not getting a tackle that can play guard, even though I think that's kind of what the Dolphins would love the most in this draft. They get a really good tackle that can play guard year 1 and then slide outside. BB's going to play as a guard at the next level, but you do get 2 starters right away. You get your wide receiver 3 and your future, wide receiver 2. And then it's definitely not the worst case scenario. I know people will be mad about it, but I do think if you can get 2 quality starters, and I don't mind flipping it either, going O-line in the first, whatever one it ends up being, or maybe D-line, and then getting a receiver in the second. Let me go there. Cool. They feel DeJean can play that star role. He's definitely a possibility at 21. I know. I feel like they're going to really consider DeJean. One, because the Dolphins love to take defensive backs, something Chris Greer cannot hide from. And I feel like they think DeJean can be their Kyle Hamilton. And I feel like they want as many of those people in the secondary as possible. It's the most important thing. I feel like Weaver knows that he can simulate a bunch of pressure with his front, even without studs up front. He can get it there. While the, Phillips and Chubb get healthy, he thinks hey, I can simulate the pressures. I can bring different looks, blitzes, you use different twists and stunts. And then I just have a great secondary. I think DeJean is the DB that's in play at 21 for sure. Let's see. Let's see. 100% with Fatani is there at 21. Tankathon has us taking Bullard in the second. I'm not mad at that. I think safety is interesting. Yeah, like you said, Bullard. Cole Bishop. This is just off the top of my head. I probably need to see all the safeties, but Dadrian Taylor Demerson, all very intriguing to me, and they're the guys that can play deep, but also probably fit within a nickel role, which I think that's kind of what they're thinking. That's kind of like the same thought process I have with DeJean as those guys, but they're more safeties than DeJean is like a corner that can play safety. Yeah. I mean, Thomas Jr. is just, to me, he's like, he's not quite like it's tough to really compare Brian Thomas Jr. because he's very unique with his skill set. One trick pony is Chop Robinson. I agree. He needs a lot of development. Like when he got he's such an explosive athlete. I have to give him a ton of credit. Tyler Nubin. Yes, I would. I just don't think Nubin's going to be there at 55, and I wouldn't take him at 21. That's kind of why I didn't mention him. But if Nubin's there at 55, he might be one of the best picks you could make at 55. I wouldn't be surprised if he's BPA at 55. Because I would say Nubin after DeJean would be my top safety. Just like all-around player. But yeah, he would fit. He could play that role as well. And I will do the DB breakdown pretty soon on a stream. But yeah, some very interesting players. But yeah, I think, dude, Chop, he just attacks the middle of people and tries to win around the edge, and then sometimes just goes like 4 or 5 yards past the QBs and then tries to get back to them, which is just not fundamental football. And he's got better play strength for his size than you would think, which is a good thing. He just really needs to develop like his pass rush plan. Like he's showing some moves. I've seen some other moves besides just, winning with speed. And then but he needs to really have a plan, and he needs to be able to identify plays versus the run better. But to me, right down, he's just like a run and chase player, not a super instinctive player. Not the guy I would take at 21, too risky in my opinion. Because also at edge, they need players that can play right away. He's not like, because they have the injuries, they need someone who can get in there and be a starter, and I don't think Chop is that guy. Yeah, Thomas is kind of a fun pick at 21 that I wouldn't be mad about. Yeah, when he played against, I don't know if you guys have seen Chop Robinson's 2022 film, but when he went against DeJuan Jones, I think, from Ohio State, he got absolutely shut down. And DeJuan Jones ended up being like an NFL level tackle, and pretty sure he started last year as a rookie for the Browns, at least in a decent amount of games. But yeah, I know none of these have had the Dolphins trading, but trading back would be a big plus for me. I think it's one of my favorite options. I'm not mad about any of the picks I've seen. I like Noon. I like Barton. If they're going to go interior line at 21, I think Barton's probably the only one I would take that I would be fine with out of all the interior guys that are just interior guys. Because I think all the other guys can potentially play tackle, like a Fatanu, Huaga, Latham. Those are all tackles that can play guard and play tackle. I'm gonna guess round 4-ish for Vidal, and wouldn't be surprised if he even went a little higher than that. But it is tough because, this running back class is weird because there's no day 1 picks, and I feel like there's a lot of day 2 players at the running back position. So I could see, that's why I'm kind of thinking round 4, because I do think he's like maybe a late round 3 player, but with all the running backs that are probably going to go in day 2, I think you could see him fall a little bit. Plus he went to Troy. It's, not the highest competition, but I feel like he's just an NFL level player. But I would guess round 4. Yep. Let's see. Let's pull up another mock draft. Hopefully. This is a Dolphins talk. Michael Oliva. Sorry. I don't know why I'm pronouncing the names. Oh yeah, so this is just the Dolphins. I forgot about that. This one's just a Dolphins mock. Hopefully it's as many picks as possible. He has Jared Verse at 21, so this is something new. Which is not a bad pick. I think this is a good value pick. I don't know if I'm as high on taking edge at 21 as some people. Like, I'm really just been thinking like Latu, just because I really like Latu. But I would also like Jared Verse. Probably the only 2 edges I would take at 21. I'm not as high on Dallas Turner. Also, I think he's going to be gone. And then I'm obviously not taking Chop Robinson. Darius Robinson, another player I talked about, is like a sleeper. He's like a DN, but he's like an edge that can also play D tackle. But yeah, Verse. Probably the more like in between type player, because there's the very athletic ones, there's the technicians, the powerful guys. I feel like versus a mix of all of them, but not like super elite any of them, but like definitely has that power rush, knows how to soften the edge. I think he's a little bit stiff underneath, but he knows how to use his hands. Good versus the run as well. He can set the edge, plays with power, good bull rush, leverage player. I wouldn't be mad if this ended up being the pick. It's just when it comes to edge, the edge position is so weird when it comes to Miami. Like I could see them going at it in the first, but I could also just see them not taking an edge defender at all, because like Jalen Phillips, I've seen the report. He said he would be ready for the start of the season, which would be great, but is he going to be 100%? Likely not. Chubb, probably going to take even longer than that. You brought in Shaq Barrett. Those are three really good players. In most scenarios, you wouldn't need to take an edge, but two of them are hurt, so it's like, very, very difficult. So he went back to back. Okay, so he went D-line both, but yeah. Verse, he says high motor, explosive, twitchy. I think, yeah, he's got some good short area explosiveness, twitchiness to his game, and definitely plays with power and leverage, and would start day one, but once Chubb and Phillips come back, he would be more of a rotational player. They had Murphy go here in their first mock draft, I guess. But they took Fisk at pick 55, which I wouldn't be mad about. Interesting that, they went with the trenches, but the defensive trenches, and Fisk is another very explosive player, one gap style guy. Like he's going to get in that backfield. Very, very sudden athletic type player. He's not a two gapper. He's not going to hold at the point of attack, stack, shed. That's not really his game. He's going to get into the backfield, play with instincts, and create pressure that way, and that's pretty fun. Oh, they have Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint at wide receiver, Georgia. Round 5, this isn't a bad pick, because this guy's just super physical, and I feel like he does need a lot of work. Like he doesn't have, like they say, doesn't have great speed. Route running is not very good at all, but he is a physical player. He goes out there and blocks, and it just feels like, yeah, he's like one of those players that a coaching staff would love. And I wouldn't be mad if he was a pick at 55, just because he does a lot of the dirty work, which I think the Dolphins kind of wide receiver room needs. Definitely not a player I would take on day 2 or like even round 4, but round 5, not a bad pick. Even though I do think with how good the receiver class is, I wonder how many receivers end up falling to round 5. It'll be interesting to see if there's any like stud receivers still on the board at this point, because it's a stacked class, and usually some guys end up falling for various reasons. Round 6, Dominique Hampton, safety. So they have him going safety in round 6. I don't think I haven't seen Hampton play, but at least I haven't watched the film, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I do like going safety. Apparently he's raw, physical specimen, fast, great length. I do think, they could go with a safety with a little bit of size. Nathan Thomas, definitely interesting. I think that's pretty good value here from what I've seen. Definitely a guy that has some good size to him and can move people. Definitely need to watch more film on him, but interesting for sure. And they have us going a punter in round 7, so going for a full mock there. Definitely a little bit different. Okay. Any issue with fish short arm length? Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about with the stacking and shedding. He's not going to hold you up at the point of attack. And mainly that has to do with your length. You got to be able to extend, get control at the point of attack. And usually when you have your shorter arms, lineman can get control of you. That's why he kind of wins more with those dips, rips, using his quickness so they don't get those hands into his chest. But yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind, but I wouldn't mind him at 55. I do think, if you just let him go, let him play loose, let him play in that sort of play style, that is, he's definitely interesting. Trey Benson might sneak into the first round. I'd be pretty surprised by that if that ended up being the case. I just don't think running back's going to go in there. Oh, I'm intrigued by Tyrone Tracy too. I might do a film breakdown on him before the draft actually starts. He is interesting because, he played receiver at Iowa, played running back now, and he's just out there, doesn't really know what he's doing at the running back position yet, but you could see the potential. It would be an interesting day 3 guy. Bart would be the pick that annoys you the most. it definitely wouldn't be the pick that annoys me the most, because I think Barton's a good player. If the Dolphins draft a bad player, that would be a pick that annoys me the most. Someone that's just not good right now, which would be like a Tyler Guyton. Sorry. I think he has potential, but I don't think he knows what he's doing right now. And I don't want to do that at pick 21, personally. But yeah, pretty fun mock. Those are all the ones I had picked up. Maybe I can. If there's any good ones out here, let me see if I can find anything. Just looking this up. Yeah, it just depends on the scheme. It's tough to say. Like, need 2 starters in the first 2 rounds. I agree. Like, to me, I'm not going for developmental stuff. I've never been that way. I like guys who are good right now. I don't mind taking chances on some of those players later on, but to me, if you're good right now, it's just, yeah, that's kind of why I mentioned Guy. And I talked about him earlier, like right as the stream started. That they brought him in for a visit. I would not take him at 21. I do think he does some good things well, and he has a lot of good physical and athletic traits. And for a guy that's pretty raw, he sees like he does identify twists and stunts really well. So I actually think he's pretty smart. It's just his hand placement, his footwork need a lot of work. Doesn't play with great leverage. He's not a guy that can. I don't think can play guard either. Which, if I think the Dolphins should take a tackle, I think they should take one that should can also play guard. Can Guyton make it to 55? Ugh. I don't think so. At least from what I've seen, it doesn't seem like it. I wonder if this list has him on here. They don't. I don't think they have Guyton yet. The list of the Vegas stuff I'm looking at. Let's see. Is this a mock draft? Where the mock draft at? They said this was a mock draft, but it doesn't look like one. Not very helpful. Okay. This is from a month ago, I guess. Okay, let's look at it. Let's take a peek. Let's see what they thought a month ago. Patanu at 21, yeah. Would love this. Definitely a big fan. Kinchin's at 55. I don't mind going safety here, but Kinchin's is not the direction I would go in. He is a good, pretty solid center fielder. But I just don't know. I just feel like there's other guys that can play more in the slot and match up pretty well. I do think, he shows some good instinctiveness. But to me, I always thought of him as more as like a 3rd round guy, making an impact. And then, yeah, pretty interesting mocks. Like, I mean, these guys are all not bad value picks, at least where they're at. This wouldn't be bad either for the Dolphins. Kind of, a 3-4 DN type from Alabama. Don't know how to pronounce his name, but I've seen him. Curtis Jacobs, an athletic guy from Penn State. Holker at tight end. I don't mind going tight end this late either. Getting like a tight end impact player, and Holker is a good receiving one. Makes a lot of impressive plays at the catch point. Good catch radius. A lot of things to like there, but boom, boom. Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm so excited for the draft to actually happen. I think that's all the mock drafts I have. I'm starting to search for more. I had those all put like pulled up, like whatever that was, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 or 7. But yeah, that I feel like that happens a lot. I feel like I see a lot of like University of Miami guys get put to the Dolphins in mock drafts, and to be honest, I don't know if I really like any of the. There usually is some University of Miami guys like I haven't really seen the film that I love any of them on. Thoughts on Anthony Gold from Oregon State? Yeah, I mean, I remember Do I have notes on him? I don't know if I wrote my notes down, but I definitely watched him. Yeah, he's. I mean, another undersized guy. I mean, wouldn't be mad because I do think he could fit within the system. Kind of that undersized speed guy, has some good speed to his game. Definitely an interesting player. But I do think he was fairly for being undersized. I do think he was fairly smart, fairly tough too, which is a good thing. I meant tough for his size. But yeah, definitely. I remember his release package was pretty solid, like getting off the line. Definitely decisive. Used a lot of speed, like split speed releases, things like that. But yeah, he was like a vertical threat in that offense, from what I remember. And definitely, don't mind adding players like that can add vertical speed, maintain that speed within the offense. If they're going to use a pick on a receiver that ends up going in the later round, which I think they could. If they don't take a receiver in the first 2 days, I still think the Dolphins target one at some point because the receiver class is so good that there will be good value in like round 5, 6, 7. Think Miami goes receiver in round 1, maybe South Carolina or Texas receiver. My guess right now, I think receiver, I would say my first guess would be a tackle that could potentially play guard. That would be my first guess. And then after that, something along the D line, maybe D tackle, maybe edge, maybe someone that can do both, like a Darius Robinson. But I'm not saying Darius Robinson is my second guess there. Then I think receiver comes in third. So I think if Brian Thomas Jr. falls, like I talked about earlier, I think he would be a high option. At 21, I wouldn't take Leggett or whichever Texas receiver you're talking about, Mitchell or Worthy. I wouldn't mind in a trade back taking Leggett. I feel like Leggett would be one of my top. If they traded back from 21, whether it's a few spots or like 10 spots, I think Leggett would be a very good option, a very good pick. You're picking up more picks. You're still getting a quality player, and I feel like he's one of the better scheme fits for this Dolphins offense. Plus, he's very complementary to the guys you already have on the roster, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle with his size, his physicality brings some difference to this a different skill set to the team. But yeah. Are we waiting to extend to it until after the draft in order to draw a situation we might go QB? Oh, I don't think so. I don't think that's the reason. I think they're kind of waiting until. I mean, one, I don't know how the meetings have gone. I'm guessing they would wait till June 1st with the cap. They don't have I think they only have last time I saw the 3 million in cap or something like that. I think they're waiting until June 1st to get that Howard boost and then start to make those extensions with whether it's Tua or Waddle or whatever. I don't think they're waiting for that. I don't think teams are speculating on it, but maybe. And maybe they use that for leverage to trade back. Who knows? I don't think Tyreek Hill is tradable right now from what I've seen, but I don't know off the top of my head. If you could pick any player from this draft and plug him into our team non-QB, who would it be? Any player. Oof, non-QB. Okay. Who responded? Oh, yeah, Scotty responded. Joe Wallet. That's definitely in the consideration. My mind went to right away to either it's just Joe Wallet probably doesn't start year 1 because I think he's more of a tackle. That's my only problem with saying alt. I think Fuaga and Fatanu kind of come to my mind right away because they would start at guard year 1 and could be tackles in the future. But also, I literally might just say fuck it and take Marvin Harrison Jr. just because I think he's an absolute beast and future all-pro receiver, and might as well take an all-pro that's going to come in and contribute right away and be a stud in the future. Because I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably my number 1 rated player in the class. So yeah, I would say they're like Marvin Harrison Jr. or like one of the top linemen, like alt or something. Hill can be post June cut next year and only 11 million. No need to trade him. We have some very expensive players coming up. Yeah, that's why I think that's why you see them not trying to, go for Wilkins or Robert Hunt, those types of players. Yeah, so yeah, I would think I'd go, Marvin Harris Jr., but wait, what was I just talking about? I read a question and then completely forgot what it said. Oh yeah, we have some very expensive players coming up. That's why they didn't sign Wilkins and Hunt, because I think they have to sign Tua, obviously, but there's Waddle, who becomes, you look at the Devontae Smith deal, becomes pretty big, and then you also have Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland from the same draft class, and those are big signings because I know Phillips had the Achilles injury. I think before the Achilles injury, Phillips was the most impactful player on the Dolphins defense. Like, the things he was doing was so impressive. I think he's so important. I really want to get Phillips extended and keep him around. I'm a huge fan of that, and that's kind of where my next priority would be after Waddle, would be Phillips before Holland, even though I like Holland a lot. I just think Holland plays a less important position, and I feel like Holland wants an absolute bag. I think they should try to re-sign all three, and I think that's why they let Wilkins and Hunt go, but I think that's the order I would go in right now. And that's why I think you could potentially see, if I had to guess, I think Hill probably has this year and next year. And then I could even see him, retiring or whatever, You never know with Tyreek Hill. We'll see how that ends up going. Yes, Dead Hero. I would say, with Christian Haynes, I would say he's probably one of my favorite options at 55. I am a big fan of that. That's why if they don't go O-line at 21, I think Christian Haynes would be one of my favorite options at 55 because he's a plug-and-play starter right away, and he is, I think, maybe the best scheme fit for the Dolphins offense with his movement skills. Like, he is impressive. Like, the notes I have on him, great athlete that excels in outside zone scheme. One of my favorite fits for Miami in round 2. Overall, really explosive, combined with good technical ability and pass pro. Good anchor with nice feet to mirror. Cuts off on the backside really easily. He's one of the best reach blockers. I also wrote down, I think he goes early day 2 due to teams taking guard. Because typically, I think a reason a lot of guards go, if you notice, I feel like guards always go early on day 2. I always notice there's always 2 or 3 guards that go early day 2 because guard is always a huge need for a lot of teams. And then in the first round, those teams, guard is in a premier position. And a lot of the teams in the top 15 don't end up taking a guard in round 1. So that's why I think, you end up seeing those guards go early day 2 because they didn't take them early day 1, but they still are a big need for a lot of those teams. Yeah, Christian Haynes. One of my favorite options for sure. My favorite round 2 guard option. For the Dolphins. Him and Jordan Morgan, but I think Jordan Morgan might even go round 1, and Morgan can play tackle as well. Let's see. Yeah, I need to watch more film. I've never watched him play. Yeah, I posted a film breakdown on Haynes just a few days ago. If you want to see that, I think it was a few days ago. It was like a week ago, maybe. Very good player. What did D. Smith get? Wasn't it like? Well, I think they extended him to like a 4-year deal, right? That was like 90-something million, but it was a 3-year extension, 75 mil, 375, and I think it was 51 guaranteed. That's off the top of my head. Yeah, 3-year 75 with 51 guaranteed. Yeah. Are Cedric Van Pran and Zach Frazier both capable of playing guard? I haven't watched them yet. I feel like they can play. I mean, when it comes to the center, I feel like those guys, though, I feel like JPJ is more built to play guard than those guys, if I had to guess. Like, just looking at their play styles, they seem more like centers to me. Especially Van Pran, I feel like just due to like he has like very limited length, and you really got to protect that at the center position. I feel like Frazier could probably play a little more guard, but he also feels like someone that would be more of a center as well. But yeah, I would say Frazier could. Van Pran probably not. Yeah, pay Waddle immediately. I agree. Get Waddle. Frazier can play guard. Yeah. Scotty, you're from West Virginia, right? You're a West Virginia alum. Yeah, I would say Frazier can probably do both, but he's a better fit at center. Just know, like, usually when it comes to those guys with those wrestling backgrounds, he's very, very intelligent. I think Frazier fits better at the center position, but Cedric Van Pran definitely doesn't seem like a guy that could play guard, at least not as well. Yeah. Spencer Rattler is the best pro ready in the draft, and whoever gets him will get a steal. I would say that I will say this. I would rather take Rattler in the second than a lot of the QBs in round 1. So if you're getting Rattler in the second, my only problem with I just don't know how much. I hope Rattler's matured because I have seen the videos and all the stuff with him in the past, and he seemed like a guy that was tough to get along with. And that kind of has me nervous. But I've heard that he's matured, and he definitely looked better. Like he has a lot of like the talented things, like the arm talent, makes a lot of impressive throws. Kind of gives me Jordan Love vibes, like a lot of Jordan Love's best plays, and I like Jordan Love a lot coming out of college. So I could see Rattler being successful if all of that stuff works out. Matt, you want drugs? I mean, yeah, I would. I'm not saying I agree, but I would take Rattler in round 2 over some of the guys in round 1. Yeah, Rattler's college career did not start out great, but his last year was good. You got to give him credit for that. Like when he had to dude, the stuff I was watching at Oklahoma I was not a fan of Rattler at all. But he started making like his 2023 film is actually pretty solid. I would take a shot on Rattler in the 5th. Cut white. Rattler won't be in the 5th. He's the next Johnny Manziel, possibly, but he's definitely a better prospect than Johnny Manziel. I did not like Johnny Manziel as a prospect at all. I would have agreed with he's the next Johnny Manziel if he declared last year, but his film was much better this year. I got to give him credit. I was a big Rattler hater. I'll be honest. I did not like Rattler at all. But his film is much better this year, so I got to give him credit. But to be fair, I don't really want to watch most of this QB class. I tried watching some of them, and I was just bored. And I was like, Dolphins aren't taking any of these guys. Yeah, he's not close to Manziel. Manziel was a really bad prospect. Rattler has some tools to work with. I'll say that. He's not a guarantee though. Riley partied too much in Oklahoma. I've only always seen the videos like years ago when he was a teenager, and he seemed like an absolute dick. But I've heard he's matured, so I give him credit. Miami needs to grab Latu if he's still there. They can cut Chubb next year. Wouldn't be mad about it. I do think they could still go Latu. I think he's a Jalen Phillips clone too. I love Latu. I'm a big fan. If they were gonna go edge at 21, he's the edge I would go. Oklahoma was horrible, but sometimes players improve. Hopefully he can keep that up at the next level. Hopefully he's matured. I think the maturity is the biggest thing. His off-field stuff definitely, like, the fans did not want him there anymore. I do. I think that is a pretty high possibility. I think after the Chubb injury, you probably see him come back, and I think, they can move on from him after next year. That's why I think edge is in play, because you have the injuries. Plus, I think you're after this year, you have Chubb, who you probably want to cut to save money for guys like Phillips. Phillips you need to extend, and then the other guys you signed are on 1-year deals. Dinner time, great stream. Peace, boys. Fins up. Yeah, I'm about to eat dinner too. So if people have questions, I agree, Robbie. Pratt is one of the guys I've seen just because I was watching Jaquan Jackson, and I've seen a little bit of Pratt, and he definitely seems like, out of like not the top named QBs, one of the guys I would target. If you need a QB, I don't know how late he's gonna go because I've seen some hype around him. If you maybe even you're gonna take a chance on one of those QBs, Pratt would probably be the direction I'd go. That's not one of the top ones. Yeah. Edge and wide receiver are both in play. I agree. They can both be moved. Will they? Who knows? I don't think it's a guarantee either are moved. I think they could both still be here, but I also think There's a chance they could both be gone or just one. Yeah. Probably will do an edge stream, something like that. I might do I'm gonna do talking about like edge defenders. One talking about DBs before the draft. At least do edge and DBs. I don't know if I'm gonna do QBs, running backs, tight ends. Maybe I'll talk about that. Maybe just on draft day as the draft's going on. We can talk about those positions. And then I'll probably do some more mock drafts. Make my own mock drafts. We can just do mock drafts on stream where I just pull them up and we keep going through scenarios. Because I mean, I don't love mock drafts because most of the time they're just like super unrealistic. So, but I like to go through them and make it as realistic as possible, like what the options could be, and just do like different scenarios just to play it out. So I do think they can be like a helpful tool. Oh, you're in Eastern Canada? That's cool. Yeah, it's 5:45 for me right now. Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're about to end it. Thank you guys for joining. It was a pretty good one. Pretty active. Yeah. Oh, that very good point, Scott. I actually thought about this a while ago. Notice out of all the people they could have restructured, right? Because I think they restructured every single person, or like they at least moved around money for everyone they could have. The only one they didn't, like they restructured Jalen Ramsey. The only one they didn't restructure was Tyreek Hill. And I remember thinking about that. I'm like, that makes me think Tyreek Hill is the one they think is going to be gone sooner than some of the other ones that are, the veterans of the team. That's a good point. That was something I thought about a while ago when they were first doing free agency. I just forgot to bring it up. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna keep posting film breakdowns every day till the draft, and then once the Dolphins draft, then post a breakdown every day of the guys they draft, and then we'll get to the UDFA's because I think I did that last year. A lot of people watched the UDFA ones, which was crazy, and with the Dolphins not having a ton of picks, some of those UDFA's like last year could make the team. Like Julian Hill, Chris Brooks, they made the team. Brandon Peely made the team. Kohu made it a year ago and has been a big starter. But yeah, peace, guys. Thank you.